June 29th, 2020. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we're covering on today's episode of the show. First up, we've got this. The debate continues on about how social media should handle moderation of user-posted content, and a boycott against advertising on their platforms just added a major company to their list. Plus, would you like to be able to 3D print your next steak? Well, that's part of the premise behind Nova Meat, a company that's bringing sci-fi tech to life. We'll be joined by their founder and CEO. And speaking of 3D printing, why not print out your own sports car as well? We'll have Ronan Glahn on for the latest in automotive technology, including that and some news about Ford and their new Mach-E. And it's Monday, which means Drew Prindle will once again join us for another edition of Awesome Tech You Can't Buy Yet, highlighting crowdfunding campaigns, including the big softy light. All of that and more on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. Hello, everyone. Yes, indeed, this is Digital Trends Live. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. I'm Greg Nibbler, and we broadcast live here every single weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and so much more. We're broadcasting live across a number of different platforms, so join us for the conversations we get to have. But let's start you off with some trending news. And first, we're going to go to social media. And part of what's going on right now with the growing list of companies who are boycotting advertising on social media platforms. Now, this comes after a lot of criticism towards social media companies on how they moderate user-based content. And a lot of this has to do with, well, the hate speech that has become pretty common on a lot of platforms, and also misinformation and a lot of other things that go along with that we're probably all familiar with at this point. Some of the big backlash has to do with Facebook in particular, because of their posted on there and some of the claims that are posted with that. If it is blatant misinformation, they are not going to remove that. Twitter, on the other hand, has taken a different stance where they are flagging things, and I think a lot of this obviously stems from President Trump and some of his posts and some of the actions that Twitter has taken. But regardless, companies across the board are saying they're going to pull social media advertising. Starbucks is the latest one to add in. Certainly that's a very big company to join this growing list. And a lot of this has to do with a couple of campaigns that are going on. One in particular is the Stop Hate for Profit campaign. Now, Starbucks isn't a part of this campaign, but this campaign is one that's leading a lot of these companies to pull their advertising, whether it's for a month or even for the entire year. Companies like Unilever, which has a lot of reach in the world, they have pulled their advertising for the rest of the year. You have other companies like Verizon, North Face, REI, Patagonia, Honda, all pulling their advertising dollars either from Facebook alone or from Twitter as well, or other social media platforms. So a big move with this. And we did have Mark Zuckerberg say there were some minor changes in their response from when they said they will add a label to denote whether something is newsworthy, because part of their claim of not removing political ads that may have false information or incendiary remarks in them is that they said it's newsworthy and that people should see them. So now they're put a little tag on there that says newsworthy if they believe that it would normally violate their policies, but they're going to keep it on there. So it's a complicated thing that's kind of unfolding in real life. There's a lot to it. We've got more details at digitaltrends.com to follow up on. But again, Starbucks adding their dollars in there, and we know when dollars start going in, certainly you'll see companies respond a lot quicker. We also have Twitter, which is making changes to its flagging of misinformation. They've been more proactive about this. One of the things they've gone after are the 5G coronavirus conspiracy theories that say 5G is causing COVID-19. There's no scientific fact to that. There's just no basis for that, but let alone it has spread rampantly online, so they've been flagging that. However, their algorithm may be a little bit too aggressive in that. They said that posts including the word oxygen or frequency were getting flagged. There's an example right there where somebody just posted those two words and they got flagged for the COVID-19. Get the facts about it. And so they're reassessing how they're doing that, how their algorithm is flagging these things. They went, again, pretty aggressively after this, and now they're figuring it out as they go along. They said that Twitter support said it's building new automated capabilities to apply these levels to tweets we think could be relevant, and so they're going to be adjusting that as we go through. But again, some things getting flagged that probably in the end should not have been flagged in association with the conspiracy theories out there. I do want to reiterate there is no known science based reasoning for this COVID-19 or 5G conspiracy theories, but there's a lot out there that just gets spread online, so this is something battling that misinformation. Continuing on here with trending news, this is something that's happening actually in Europe right now, but it does have to do with Amazon and some of the backlash that they have received about employee allegations that they have not taken proper steps to protect their employees from COVID-19. And so this is in Germany, where there is going to be a strike that's going to be happening for 48 hours this week. It's starting off today, and this is coming at their warehouses. So 6 different Amazon warehouses are going to do this through the end of day on Tuesday, and that's because they're protesting what they believe is Amazon's lack of response. And Amazon has come out and said that they've done a lot for this. This is what, again, for Amazon's response, they said that they've invested approximately $4 billion worldwide on COVID-related initiatives for getting products to customers and keeping employees safe. But employees have repeatedly had claims that there have been sicknesses and COVID-19 outbreaks that have not been reported, or they've not been told about it. So this is coming from both sides of this same issue. So definitely something that you want to take a look at there at digitaltrends.com. Pretty important stuff. All right, continuing on here with our trending news, let's go to this. Let's talk about Waze. So for those of us who are back commuting, for people who are out there who are driving more, as we see different restrictions lifted, go back into place. It's a crazy world, but Waze anyway, still, it certainly is rolling out their update, and they've got a design makeover. So for those of us who use Waze quite a bit, this is coming to iOS and Android. Now, you may not see it today. This is something they're announcing that's going to start rolling out, but they're making some big changes there. They're adding in more emotions. They want people to be able to express their emotions while they're driving as far as how they feel, so they came out with a slew of new emoticons there. They've also got some emojis that will go with this. And then you've also got some more colors. They said that they want to bring in more color to it. It's a section of the app called Moods, which is going to let you express more feelings about how you're doing it. You will have to drive over 100 miles with the platform in order to get some of those expressive avatars. So they're making it kind of an incentive to keep on using it. Then you get to use that, and you can set up your own avatars on there. They said that they're going to add in more features that will show finding the cheapest fuel, hearing a famous voice navigate your route, something we've seen other companies do. And they said that this new updated look will start rolling out. They didn't give a timetable for it, but you will start to see that updated. So again, Waze making their update on that. Continuing on here with trending news topics and just making sure you're abreast of what is happening in the world of technology news. Certainly, game streaming is huge. We all know that. But let's talk about Twitch and some of the changes that Twitch has been making. Now, Twitch did say they're going to start being more regulatory as far as when it comes to sexual harassment allegations and different issues that come on their platform. And they had that announcement, and then also they have banned Dr. Disrespect. Now, Dr. Disrespect being one of the biggest streamers out there. I mean, he is very famous, obviously, on Twitch. His real name's Herschel Guy Beam. And it was announced by the company that he was banned. But there's an ongoing mystery right now over why he was banned. And he did not actually make a public statement. His account was deleted on Twitch. His backers were refunded. So that's a pretty huge move. I mean, this guy's got a very big contract with Twitch. So removed from the platform altogether, and now he made a statement saying that he still doesn't know why he was banned. And there's a bit of a mystery unfurling online about whether or not there's something that's about to come out, whether or not this is in association with a completely different issue. We really don't know. He has had some been suspended before, but this is, again, officially banned from the platform, so removed altogether. So it's a big move by Twitch, and so we'll have to see how this all unfurls and what unfolds and what comes out, but expect to hear more about this, I would guess, soon, because something's going to come out about why it was that he was banned from this. So that's just where we're at with that, acknowledging that mystery. And finally here for trending news, let's go to TikTok. Certainly music is a big part of TikTok, and now they just caught one of the biggest artists of all time because they've signed a deal to have Prince's entire catalog now available on TikTok. If you know anything about Prince, it's been, over the years, he's been, well, when Prince was alive, he really pulled back his music as far as availability on streaming services. Wasn't a big fan. There were some things where he was available for a short amount of time on things. Now you can find him more places, back on Spotify and things like that. But TikTok, this is a big move. And his estate said they wanted to do this to help bring his music to more people. And this is pretty big move for it to have Prince on there. It's the entire catalog, so kind of an interesting thing. And you know what? hey, the world could maybe use a little Prince right now. That's just my opinion. But there we go. That is it. Prince coming on to TikTok, so you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. All right, let's go to our product of the day, and let's talk about that. So our product of the day today is the Dyson V7 Allergy Cordless HEPA Vacuum. So this is a vacuum that you can pick up, and as you know, for our product of the day, we usually showcase something that we think could help you out a little bit. And this one deep cleans carpets. It sucks up hair. It is one of those things where, if you know about Dyson vacuums, they're usually rated there pretty high up. So this one can clean up high. It weighs under 6 pounds, transforms into a handheld. It's got whole machine HEPA filtration, so it captures allergens and expels cleaner air than the air you breathe. According to their marketing right here, they said it's also will expel the dirt. It's got a hygienic dirt ejector. Just saying that alone sounds kind of cool. So that's when you're ready to empty it. You just put it in there, and that hygienic dirt ejector means you don't have to touch any of the dirt, which, you know, if you have a vacuum where you have to do that, having the bag explode on you is not fun. So there we go. That is what our product of the day is. It's the Dyson V7 Allergy Cordless HEPA Vacuum. And you can follow that link that's right below me or to the side of me, depending on what platform you're watching this on. Click that link, follow through, and you can take advantage of the deal. And it is a deal right now. So normally this would be, well, right now it's on sale for $179.99. That's 45% off. Normally these things are $330. On sale for $179.99. That's a deal, and that's why it's our product of the day. All right, continuing on here with Digital Trends Live. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We've got some great interviews, some great guests today, and some great things to share with you. And I thank everybody for being here with us and being a part of this show. Up next, we have Giuseppe Schianti. We're going to be talking about 3D printing meat, but with plant-based substance. So it's very sci-fi. It's something that's happening. He thinks there's some really big advantages to this. So we're going to be talking about that next. So stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you very much for joining us. Wherever you are, we appreciate it. We talk a lot about trending technology on here, and that includes part of the tech that goes into our food supply. We've talked before about plant-based alternatives to meat, but what about 3D printing food? And it sounds very sci-fi, but it is something that is happening right now, and that's why we're going to be talking to the founder and CEO of Novameat. We've got Giuseppe Schianti, who's joining us right now. Giuseppe, thank you so much for being here with us. Appreciate it. To start off, could we get a little bit of a history, I guess, of Novameat and what made you want to found this company?
Yeah, actually, it's a very, very interesting story because I was an assistant professor in bioengineering, and specifically in a field which is called tissue engineering, which is about building organs and building tissues, including muscles, but for veterinary or biomedical applications. So one day I was developing some prototypes, including one ear prototype, and I thought, hey, this should show to my colleagues because it really looks like an animal tissue and it's made only of natural proteins. So then I discovered that this could be something which would go beyond meat and beyond impossible foods. So to apply this technology, the same technology that we normally use in tissue engineering to create tissues and to move that into the field of alternative meats. So I asked to some top chefs like Ferran Adrià or Seyer de Carroca, who are the top of the top here in Barcelona area, and they thought it was a very good idea, so I decided to launch the startup and patent the technology.
I mean, it's very interesting, this idea of 3D printing it, because like you said, we've seen, you know, alternative meats before, but what are the advantages that we would get with 3D printing versus some of the other ways that are out there right now?
Yeah, so to go beyond what is ground meat, you need to create the structural fibrous tissue, right? So the matrix. So we use microfilaments, we use micro elements that resemble and mimic the animal muscle at the microscopic level, which means that we create microfibers, and these microfibers are assembled together in a hierarchical form so that they compose what is very similar to an actual animal muscle. So we are doing an animal muscle biohacking plant-based proteins.
And that way, like you said, you're able to get those fibers and some of that texture and those very you know, specific consistencies that come with something like that. Very interesting how you're doing it. So talking about, you know, where you're at right now, I guess let's discuss that. Like in the process, is this something that would be like a mass-produced kind of thing? Or would this be something where people would have a 3D printer in their home, almost like a sci-fi food generator that they would use on a personal basis?
No. Since the beginning, we have always thought that we wanted to have leave an impact, right, on the planet, and which means making this at scale. So industrialize this technology with bigger machine, industrialize this so that we can create tons of materials, which is plant-based steaks or plant-based pork, fibrous meats. So the idea is to get this technology that we now study with the 3D printers and use 3D printers as a mean to an end, not as an end in itself. So we discovered that we can have great prototypes done with 3D printers, but we want to scale up. And these machines, once we scale up, they are not looking like 3D printers. They are looking like extrusion machines. So they're more similar to what is already there in the industry of plant-based meat manufacturing. But what we do is and higher complexity, and so we go beyond the ground meat, and we are able to use not only soy with gluten, we are able to use new proteins, we are able to use a variety of ingredients, and mostly we are able to have a variety of ingredients to get to a variety of textures, and at the same time have a variety of appearances and a variety of nutritional properties. So the real advantage is we do prototyping at very high level of complexity with the 3D printers. What works very well, then we translate into large scale production with big machines. So as you can see in the videos, this is some images a little bit more updated where you can see that it looks like a beef stick actually, because you can see the microfibers, you can see that you can cut it, and internally you see that these microfibers resemble the actual muscle. So you can see some prototypes in these images. Some of them are from our big stick prototype. This other is from a pork skewer prototype. So we really think that we do a lot of advances with the 3D printers, but then we want to really scale up the production to have leave an impact to the world of alternative proteins.
That's really incredible, just the pictures that you showed right there. I mean, if I didn't know that we were talking about this, I wouldn't know that wasn't actual, you know, meat taking a look at it. So even visually, it's matching that. Talking about the scalability. Now, you mentioned that, you know, you want to bring this to a big market. You want to be able to have mass plant operations of this so that you can bring it to people. What are the big obstacles towards upscaling this kind of technology?
Well, when it's a new technology, the obvious obstacles is that it involves creativity. It involves obstacles that are normally technical obstacles, and that you need to create an alliance with the right partner. So there is many obstacles. But you know, launching a startup, I had a child 3 weeks ago, so I'm already into an adventure. So I'm not scared of these obstacles. Once you know, you start from the scientific part of it, and I'm a scientist, so I started from the scientific part of it. I demonstrated at the beginning with our team that this is feasible, that this can be scaled up, then we are not scared. Every startup is a bet. Every startup, especially when it comes to manufacturing, it's a bigger bet, but it's a very exciting bet. As some great VCs are saying now in the States, it's time to build. And time to build involves creativity, involves building new things, building new technology, and go beyond the limits of the technology. This is very exciting, so we are not scared. We will try to make it the best as possible and try to scale this up for the good of our health, for the good of the planet, and for animal welfare. There are many reasons that really give us a lot of passion and a lot of drive.
How far out do you think that we are to getting these into the market? Like, would this be something that would start off in grocery stores or start off in restaurants? And I know you have some partnerships in association with that. Maybe you can, for everybody out there who wants to try this, which is me basically, I want to try this. Like, what are the steps that are going to happen to get that to people?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question because we take a very specific direction. We decided that our roadmap would be to demonstrate at small scale that this was spectacular, and this was not just a fake meat. It would be like the successor of meat or a super meat. We didn't want to just create something that was similar to meat, as similar as possible. We want to do something which is the next generation of plant-based meat. So I always thought of it as if it was a Tesla Roadster, just a small scale test to demonstrate something that is spectacular, is incredible, so that everybody wants to try it, not because we just because of the business sustainability, but because we really think that this is good for the planet, right? So we decided that this week we are going to one of the top 10 restaurants in the world, and we are starting a collaboration with them. So I will be very happy to show these digital trends once we really have our first test with this restaurant. So we start first with a top restaurant, which is a Michelin star restaurant. Then we go afterwards to scalability.
I'm excited to see, how this all works out, and obviously we've got what I want to tell people too is that we've got a great article at Digital Trends right now that goes into more detail too about what you're doing, and it's actually on the top of the site right now. Going forward, I guess one more thing that I just had to ask is one of the big issues of when it comes to plant-based food is just getting that right texture, and like you said, you mentioned the texture, you mentioned the fibrous parts of this thing. As far as testing this out, how close do you think you've gotten to actual meat? Can you tell the difference?
Yes, so there is 4 main parameters that we started to challenge. The first one was texture, and we started from texture, even though everybody thinks that taste is the most important factor. Well, in the industry, taste is not so complex right now. In the last few years, there are great ingredients providers, great startups that have achieved taste very well. What is difficult is to get the taste and the texture simultaneously. So when you try our products, if you try it right now, you will get the feel of the texture and the appearance, and what you will miss yet is a little bit of taste. That is why we are collaborating with this top chef to improve the taste and making it look and taste amazingly well. So if you were coming right now, I would tell you that if it's a blind test, you wouldn't be able to, you would already still be able to recognize it, but during summer, once we incorporate the right ingredients into this texture and this appearance, you really will not be able to distinguish. But I remember in 2018, when I first started the company, I asked to one of the biggest aromas provider in the world, and they told me, Giuseppe, if you get the texture and the appearance right, and then you are able to use a variety of ingredients, don't worry about the taste, because we have done amazing things in the space. So the difficulty right now is to put the Impossible Burger, formulation and put that and transform that into a steak. Why nobody's doing that? Well, because these ingredients, the process that transform these ingredients into something fibrous, this process is very harsh. It means that the temperature is very high, the pressure is very high, so these ingredients don't withstand the process. And so we discovered this technology doing through this micro extrusion of these microfilaments, which allows to apply this technology at room temperature so that these ingredients don't get degraded. So this is the real novelty about Novamit.
Well, it's definitely exciting and very cool what you've been creating with this, and I'm excited to see where it's going to be going from there. And I want to let everybody know, like I said, we've got that article up at Digital Trends right now, all about Novamit, going into it a little bit more. And Giuseppe, congratulations on getting this launched #1, but these partnerships sounds like it's really neat what's going to be going on going forward, and appreciate you being here on Digital Trends Live with us.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
All right, there we go. So Novamit, very interesting. Printing out steaks. I mean, that is really cool. So that's part of what we're talking about today. We've got more, though, coming up. So I want to say, coming up here right after this break, we've got Ronan Glahn on to talk about automotive technology. Some big developments there, including going from 3D printed steaks to 3D printed cars. That's something that's a possibility. So that's coming up next. Stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler again. Thank you for joining us wherever you are. We do appreciate it. Hit subscribe, share the show, let other people know about it because we do keep you up to date on everything in technology, and that includes automotive technology. Certainly a big facet of the world of tech, and we're going to talk about that right now with our own Ronan Glad, who is joining us. And I want to start off with this, talking about 3D printed things, items, food, all of those things are things we talk about a lot. But what about 3D printing your own car? I love this idea. Ronan, hello. So what is going on with this?
Hi. It's a pretty cool idea, actually. It's an entrepreneur in Los Angeles named Kevin Zinger who wants to build his own hypercar, which is easier said than done. And he is turning to 3D printing to make some of the more expensive components. So when you design a car, normally you would have to go through the very costly process of having the tooling needed to make, for example, a suspension arm or part of a windshield pillar. You need to figure out how to make that. It's a very expensive process, and 3D printing actually reduces the time and cost needed for it. That said, it required making, Kevin Zinger had to basically design a 3D printer from scratch because the current 3D printers available on the market don't work. The alloys are usually too brittle. He teamed up with a German company to build a purpose-built machine. So the Zinger 21C uses many 3D printed components. Some are made with aluminum alloys, others with Iconel, which is a type of metal that withstands extreme temperatures fairly well. And parts of the A-pillars, so the structure on either side of the windshield, are made with a 3D printed titanium, which is really cool. And one of the kind of unexpected trade-offs is that the 3D printed parts are beautiful to look at. Normally suspension components are just basically metal parts with bushings in them. The ones in the Zinger 21C are absolutely gorgeous. I mean, they're works of art almost.
Yeah, I'm looking at the video of it right now. I mean, it does. It looks pretty amazing. I would think something like this would take a very long time. And then I guess the other question is that even scalable? Is this something that he would want to mass produce, or would the goal just be to send out the plans for it and have other people do this?
No, it's a car that Zinger plans to produce in-house in the Los Angeles area. It's going to have a twin turbocharged 2.9 liter V8 behind the passenger compartment. And the passenger compartment is really weird because you're sitting one behind the other, kind of like on a motorcycle, not side by side. It's a hybrid. So it's got the motor in the back, 2 electric motors up front behind each wheel, 1,250 horsepower, which is amazing. A 1.9 second sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour. Now, going back to your earlier question, Zinger is going to make 80 examples of the 21C, and that number was chosen because it's the company's first car, so it needs to kind of put its name out there. It can't be, one of 5 or one of 10, but it also needs to be exclusive. This is a 1.7 million car, so Zinger wants to keep it somewhat low production, so it's not on every street corner. And beyond that, I spoke with Kevin Zinger on the phone last week, and he Instead, he was more focused on getting the 21C into production, and then he would decide what to do with the company next. But he does want to keep this kind of 3D printing theme going for future models, but it's too early to really tell what's going to come out of the company.
It's really cool just even to look at it and think about that, and if they're successful with this, what the other possibilities are. Going from there, let's talk about going from there, let's talk about Ford for a little bit. I know they have had some things that we've been anticipating for a while, and we're finally getting some more information. I guess first with the Mustang, the Mach-E.
Yeah, the Mustang Mach-E, we've talked about it on this show before. It's an electric, it's not really a Mustang. It's kind of shaped like one if you look at it from the right angle, but it's not in any way related to the Mustang that we know and love. It's an electric crossover. So it was unveiled in 2019, and Ford just barely announced active driver assist technology, which doesn't make the Mach-E autonomous by any stretch of the imagination. There's not a single autonomous car you can buy new in 2020, but it's a pretty advanced suite of electronic driving aids that take over when driving is tedious. So if you're driving from Wyoming to San Francisco, you kind of want to brake, you can turn this system on. It's a true hands-off system, so you can't sleep behind the wheel, but you can take your hands off the steering wheel. Here's the catch. It relies on mapping data. So there's cameras and sensors that scope out the road ahead to see if there's a semi-truck in front of you, for instance. But it relies on mapping data to know when there's a bend or a hill it needs to accelerate for. That means that motorists won't be able to use active driver assist if they're traveling on a highway that Ford hasn't mapped yet. However, there's over 100,000 miles of highways in all 50 states and in Canada that are already into the system. So if you're traveling on a major highway, odds are the car already knows it, and you can just push a button, take your hands off the steering wheel, and kind of relax. Now, here's how it knows that you're not taking a nap or hopping in the back seat to chat with somebody. There is a driver-facing camera in the instrument cluster that kind of tracks your face and your eyes. And if it senses you're not looking straight ahead at the road, if you're looking at, for example, a cow in a field, it's going to sound audible and visual warnings. So you're going to see them in the instrument cluster, for example. And if you don't take over in a timely manner or start looking at the road, the car is probably going to slow down to a complete stop.
Wow. I mean, that's something else, I guess, as we see more semi-autonomy come out in some of these vehicles, I guess that's something that they're going to have to do, because that's, I know, one of the big issues. But that's kind of cool and kind of crazy at the same time. Going from that, I know there's. Oh, go ahead, Ronan.
I was going to say, I think it's a very smart way, just kind of to wrap things up. It's a very smart way to approach semi-autonomous technology, because you can't trust motorists who do the right thing for anything. If you say you can take your hands off the wheel, but don't sleep or don't watch Harry Potter, everybody's the first thing they're going to do is boot up Netflix. So I think having a driver-facing camera, it's a very controversial subject in the automotive industry, because you're being essentially watched. But it's also a very smart way to approach this until we have fully autonomous cars that let you take your eyes off the road in every circumstance.
I know we have one final thing here to talk about, and that is the fact that Ford also came out with the F-150 hybrid version, which isn't quite to the full electric version that we're anticipating, but anything of note here with this Ford F-150?
Yeah, I mean, it's the 14th generation F-150, which is a massively important car. It's been America's best-selling vehicle for 38 straight years, and that's all nameplates. It includes all nameplates. So it outsells the bigger like Camry, the Corolla, the Accord, and it's going hybrid for the very first time. So details about the hybrid system are still kind of vague, because Ford likes to roll out vehicles. What I do is that it's built around a 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6, which F-150 owners will be familiar with. It's already available on the 2020 truck. In this application, there's a small battery pack under the cargo box that powers an electric motor in between the engine and the transmission. So Ford promised it's going to have more power and more torque than anything else on the market, but it hasn't really listed figures.
Hey, Ronan, I think we might be losing you a little bit in the with the internet feed. I think you just kind of cut out there a little bit. But Ronan Glaude right there, he was talking about the the F-150 hybrid. We're live. Sometimes the internet doesn't cooperate, but we got a lot of great stuff on there. And I want to remind everybody too that His articles are up there at Digital Trends to take a look at all of that with that Mach-E, that really interesting idea that it can watch what you're doing and then know if your eyes are looking off. That's pretty cool technology. And then, like we said, the 3D printed Zinger car, or I'm probably saying that name wrong, but he's got it up there at Digital Trends to talk about that as well. So Ronan, always appreciate him being here on the show. I know we need to take a break. We've got to come back. We've got Riley Wynn with another video as part of our series of transitioning back to work. But let's talk about transportation. He's going to tell you how air travel and hotels could all work out. So that's coming up next. Stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
The thought of hopping on a plane full of passengers or riding in a crowded subway car probably seems pretty crazy right now. Remember your commute to work? It seems so long ago. Some cities saw a 90% drop in public transit ridership during the pandemic. Remember that fun summer trip you had planned? Probably canceled or at least postponed. And even as many states start to open up, going from point A to point B won't look the same. This is how the coronavirus will change the way we commute and the way we travel. I'm Riley Wynn with Digital Trends, and this is what comes next, where we highlight the potential of technology to get us back to business and back to life. By this point in the pandemic, everyone wants to leave the house, whether it's going to work or going on a trip. As your parents always said, safety first. And thankfully, tech is offering some creative ways to help us stay safe when leaving the house. In airports, security screening is all too familiar, and it's about to get a bit more intense. Airports are equipping TSA agents with these smart thermal helmets that look like they're from the Death Star. They're used to scan the crowds for people with higher temperatures. Anyone that does will be asked to have their temperature checked again by a different thermometer. If it's still too high, they may be asked to leave the airport. The lines are going to take longer to get through, and they'll also look a lot longer because of social distancing. So next time you're going on a trip, get to the airport even earlier than normal. Once you board the plane, you won't have to fight your neighbor for the armrest because you won't have one. Flights will have spaces in between passengers, and they'll all be required masks while on board. Delta, American Airlines, and many others are no longer serving alcohol or only serving sealed beverages. Not only will the actual flight be different, but so will the way the airlines clean the cabins. This isn't your average beverage cart. Daimler's Germ Falcon is a high-powered UVC light that can clean an airplane amazingly fast. It can disinfect up to 30 rows a minute, so for a Boeing 737, the entire plane can be cleaned in about 5 minutes. The UVC light instantly kills bacteria and interrupts the DNA that makes up the coronavirus so it can't live. Once you reach your destination, expect your hotel to feel way more empty from the moment you walk in. Fuel, a leading software platform for the hospitality industry, developed a digital key feature. So when you enter the lobby, you can just open up the app and head straight to your room. No more worries about losing that plastic key card. Just don't lose your phone. Inside the hotel room, there's one item that carries more germs than anything else: the TV remote. It's obviously not something the cleaning crew can change out between guests, so many hotels are switching to virtual remotes. You scan a QR code on the TV with your phone, which then loads up the remote for you to start channel surfing. Ordering a drink or some food at the hotel bar will also become contactless. Hotels and restaurants are using My Menus online. Instead of a waiter handing you a physical menu and taking your order, you scan a QR code on your phone and the restaurant or bar's menu pops up. Then you order just like it's Grubhub or DoorDash. Maybe they can apply this technology to room service so we don't have to wait through the long phone menus. Technology is also being applied at the pool. The Soleil app allows people to reserve their spot poolside so the hotel can limit the number of people swimming and promote safe social distancing. Because honestly, after being stuck inside for months, we all could use some vitamin D. Once your vacation is over with, it's time to get back to the real world. That morning commute that you already dread is going to become even more difficult, but it's all to help us travel safe. Public transit systems across the country are going to be working overtime post-coronavirus. Transit employees are cleaning buses and subways around the clock. Some cities won't allow you to board a bus without a mask. The New York subway, for example, normally carries 60 million passengers each year. To keep everyone safe, it's piloting powerful UVC lights similar to the ones airlines are using. It has deployed 150 mobile devices to try and automate the cleaning of subway cars. This means subways have been shut down at night at certain times, which is entirely unprecedented. The cabin fever is real, but when we leave the house, we need to do it in a safe way. Technology is taking part of the burden, but the rest is on us. Remember to wear a mask and practice safe social distancing no matter where you are, and that even means on vacation. On our next episode, we'll take a look at how tech is going to help us get back to school. This is what comes next. Until next time, I'm Riley Wynn with Digital Trends, and thanks for watching.
Yes, indeed. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. It is time for awesome tech you can't buy yet. And of course, that is our weekly segment with Mr. Drew Prindle joining us right now. Drew, hello, number one. Number two, what are we talking about here right out of the gate? Which one do you want to go to?
Let's start with the one that I could use the most right now, considering how dark this video looks. Let's talk about the big softy, this light. So basically what this thing is a little mobile light that's designed to improve the quality of your video calls, which all of us are doing much more now, thanks largely to the coronavirus and the fact that all of everything, social interaction, work, it all happens through Zoom and other video chat apps and stuff like that. And one of the big problems that you run into is, as you can see, the lighting isn't always great. And the problem is the stuff that's built into our phones and computers typically just doesn't do the tricks. So, which is why you see a lot of people buying external lights that they can put on a tripod or whatever and improve the video quality. This is basically that same idea, but just kind of shrunken down into a smaller, more convenient form factor. And it's just got a lot of neat little features going on with it. So the first one is the fact that it's got a bunch of different light sources. So instead of just being one LED, it's a bunch of them that they've packed into this small little thing, and then they've got it diffused so it softens the shadows and just makes everything look better. And it's also, the other thing that I love about it is you can use it as a battery if you're not using it as a light. So it's just a convenient thing to have in your bag. So if your phone starts dying, you can charge up, or if you need it for video, you can use it as what it's intended for, as a light.
That's a really cool added-on feature, actually, to be able to charge it on top of that. And I'm looking at it, and really, if it's this good of a light, the price isn't that bad for what.
Yeah, you'll pay a lot more for lights than $59. And the fact that it's kind of smartphone sized means it fits in a pocket pretty easily. Won't take up a ton of space wherever you put it. Yeah, I'm super into this thing. I might get one because, as you can see, I need one.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to pick one up too, because the thing is, as we're all learning, if you didn't know before, lighting really does take a lot of work. So if you have something that's simple enough to like clip on and use it, then that's awesome. So that's a big softie. And again, part of Awesome Tech you can't buy yet. Taking a look at some of the different crowdfunding campaigns that are out there that Drew has scoured the internets for us to bring to us. So that one comes from Australia. That one has been, let's see, it was a $12,000 goal. Right now they're at $122,000. So everybody wants that. So you can check that out there. What's the next one you want to hit?
Let's talk about this Tixit One system. Which I think will appeal mostly to musicians, but I think it's something that we can all get behind because it makes the work of musicians and putting on live shows easier for them. So really all it is a system of totally wireless receivers and transmitters that are universal. So basically what that means is like, depending on what like tip you put on them, you can plug them into an amp, you can plug them directly into like your guitar, your keyboard, your microphone, your mixing board, whatever it may be. You just plug in the receiver and the transmitter to the instrument, whatever it's sending to, and it does all of the stuff through an app. So it's super simplified, and you don't have just like a rat's nest of cables all over the floor and everything. And it just, you got to check out the video. It makes it look like they've totally simplified the process of like setting up for a live show, which, as I said, I think is something that we can all get behind.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I can say, as somebody who's a musician, having all the cables sucks. Wireless is so much better, but it can be expensive, and sometimes they don't work very well. So if they figured out one that works really well, that's pretty huge.
Yeah, one of the things that they are touting on this campaign pretty prominently is the fact that they've somehow figured out how to get the latency down like much lower, which is one of the big problems with these wireless systems. Is there's a bit too much of a lag, and when you're playing music, you can't have that. You have to be like, timing has to be on. Even just a little bit of latency might screw up the whole thing. So they've somehow they've gotten it down to under 2 milliseconds, which is more or less just not perceivable to the human ear.
Yeah, 2 milliseconds. That would hardly be anything. I wonder what the range is on this. I'm not sure if it says there. It probably says it on here somewhere, but that would be the other thing that I would wonder about, of just how far it is. I do see that.
Because if you're playing, like a stadium show, and you got to be like a half a football field away from your rhythm guitarist. Yeah, obviously, Greg. We got to have.
I mean, what if you want to run around and like? What if you want to run around and swoop in, over the crowd or something? You got to make sure that the latency. Is still good right there. That's what I'm looking at for these things. But anyway, nonetheless, that is the Tixit T1 wireless all-in-one audio system. So pretty cool right there. They're, let's see, 16 days to go. They're a little over halfway pledged for their goal. So I'm going to guess that that's something that once more people know about it, they're going to be into that. All right, going from there, we've got one more here for Awesome Tech you can't buy yet. What is the final one?
It's called the Capra, and it's a chair. It's like a camp chair for camping with, but it's much... I'd say it's like an evolution of the crappy camp chair that we're all like used to, the ones that you have to like fit into their stupid little sleeve and they always break, and they're really not like super convenient despite the fact that they fold up. This is an evolution of that. So it's got the design that's kind of similar to the lightweight, like ultralight backpacking chairs that you see in REI that cost like $100, but it's got a couple sweet features. So it's like reconfigurable. So you can use it as a stool. You can use it as like a super reclined chair. It's got a little a cup holder that you can attach to it. But the thing that I really like about it is you can basically break it down and make it lighter if you want to. So instead of using those back poles, you can actually take those off completely and then use them with trekking poles instead. So if you actually want to take a chair with you and you're doing like backpacking or something, you can cut out the unnecessary weight and use what you already have with you, which is trekking poles, and use those as poles in the chair.
That's pretty cool to be able to adapt it like that. And this one, let's see. I like how they do highlight huge cup holder. That is important. A cup holder is very important when you're up there.
Yeah, and it's often...
It is a huge cup holder.
Yeah, and it's often neglected. That's a feature that you won't always find in these little camp chairs, like especially these ones that are trying to be like lightweight and everything.
Right? Yeah. So you got that. You can adapt it to different things. Fold, clip, fill, carry. Oh yeah. So the carry bag is what you use for your cup holder. All right. That's pretty cool. So this one is, let's see, taking a look here. So it's the Capra freakishly strong adaptive light chair system. How much is this thing going for?
I mean, our thing here
Oh,
on the
let's see
ticker
here.
says 200.
I could probably pull that information up rather than throw you on the spot. $269 looks like.
Which is pretty damn steep, but if you're looking for something that you can use like at barbecues and take it like backpacking and like have something super lightweight, yeah, that's a damn decent deal. I mean, I've seen chairs that cost more than that.
Right. Yeah, I would say if you're just car camping, that's probably not. That's a little steep, but yeah,
It's a little bit more than the $6 ones that you can find at Walmart. So yeah, understandable if that's a little bit too rich for your blood.
Yeah, although the $6 ones do not hold up if you're going anywhere other than just sitting right by your car, and even then they don't hold up very long. So I can see the value of that. Well, anyway, that's part of awesome tech you can't buy yet. Taking a look at 3 different things every week, and then we've got all of these up at Digital Trends too. It's really cool to still see innovation happening. So these are some of the ones that Drew has highlighted for us. And Drew, as always, good to talk to you. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, see you, man.
Drew Prindle right there for awesome tech you can't buy yet here on Digital Trends Live. And thank you to everybody who's joining us. So this is just Monday. Like I said, we broadcast every single weekday. So hit subscribe, join the show, be a part of this, and share some of the things that we get to put out there. We've also got, of course, follow us on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else, and everything that we talked about today. We've got articles at digitaltrends.com for you to follow along with. Tomorrow on the show, we've got John Velasco, who's going to be talking about some different outdoor security cameras and kind of ranking some of them and showcasing some different ones. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking about that right now, and let's have John, our expert, talk to us about that. We'll also have YouTube star Kevin X, who's going to be joining us. So he's going to be on the show as well, and there'll be more. There's always going to be the latest in tech news. We'll have some more guests. All of that's going to be happening live right here with us every single day. So thanks for joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler. I'll be right back here tomorrow with another edition of Digital Trends Live.